Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. You're joining me in July 2020 down on the river, not in France, but here in the UK, looking for my very first English river carp. During the river close season and what also turned out to be the COVID-19 pandemic lockdown, a plan was hatched to gain a ticket to a section of river I'd spent many years going up and down in the boat. This section held vast lily beds, overhanging trees and large amounts of rushes. So luckily for me, plans have been made because once the COVID-19 restrictions have been lifted, especially for fishing, lakes were absolutely rammed. There was no French fishing on offer, you couldn't travel anywhere. Stalking was definitely not on the table, there's just no room. It was packed Monday to Friday as well as the weekend as per normal. So looking for a new challenge, the river offered that. Never caught a carp in England off the river, it was time to find out if I could match it. So looking at the hardware, I'm actually using an 8-foot retractable sonic extractor recon. The reason I bought these is because they're packed down incredibly small. Now as it turns out, this section you can actually drive your car down most of it. So the pack up size is kind of a little bit irrelevant, but there are some sections on this river where I might need to walk up to a mile with a rucksack and a set of rods. When that comes into play, these rods all come into their own. I've got a TS5000 on there. I like using big strong line. I've got 20-pound line on there, quite a heavy line. I want it to lay on the bottom. I'm only fishing in the margins, so I don't need the tips in the air, and I certainly don't need a 12-foot rod. So I've got a nice, neat pack down size, but I've still got plenty of power to keep them fish out the lily beds. Okay, so you may be thinking, what's that clown doing in waders and in the water when he said he's fishing the margins, and you'd be quite right. But what I've got to my left and right is large patches of lily beds. There's literally a gap between that and what I think is streamer weed a bit further out. By coming a bit further out, I'm swinging the lead out past the lilies and hopefully dropping it in a tight arc between the lilies and the streamer weed. Okay, on this rod what I'm doing is I'm feeling the lead down, and I can actually feel when it hooks into the streamer weed on the way down. If I don't feel a clean drop, I'm taking it back out. When I feel the lead down and I don't feel any pauses on the way down, which is becoming increasingly difficult the more boat traffic I'm getting. Right, so I got a nice clean drop there. So what I've done is clipped up. It's not far, I'm only swinging it out. But I just know I can drop back on that same spot and get a nice clean drop. I didn't feel anything on the way down, so I'm happy with that. Just get a bit of bait out there because I'm going into the evening session now. Hopefully something will materialise. It's not been too hot today, but it's been bright. So maybe with the sun dropping a bit, it might just bring something on the feed. Rig-wise, I'm carrying on with the same theme. I'm using a drop-off lead clip system. At the minute I've got a 3-ounce lead on there. That's obviously going to depend on what kind of flow I've got and what I have to deal with, what's coming down the river. This particular rig, I've gone for 18 inches of 20-pound quarter IQ, and there's a size 4 stiff rigger hook on the end of that, and it's tied off with a D-rig. Just want a bit of separation between the hook and the 2 tiger nut baits that are on there, just to try and deal with the bream. There's a hell of a lot of bream in this river, in every section of the river, so I'm trying to use tiger nuts on one rod just to see if I can avoid them. Okay, so the second rod is exactly the same as the first, same rod, same reel, same main line. The only slight difference is we've got the leg clip as before. I've only got 12 inches on this one of the Corda IQ 20 pound again. And what I've done is I've whittled down a yellow pop-up and just a bottom bait underneath it. And what that's doing when I drop it in, it's just literally wafting down and laying flat on the bottom, just like a snowman rig. Literally, you couldn't make it up. I've been sat here for about 8-9 hours, not a single bleep on the rods. Last half an hour to 40 minutes, it's been liner city. Unfortunately, I think it's bream and skimmers grabbing at the rig. It's definitely bream o'clock. Just as it's getting dusk, it's about 10 to 10. Gonna have to pack up now and get back to the boat. Set up all over again. Almost a full-time job, this fishing. there you go. Just the one carp last night. Plenty of bream. I think I put in far too many particles. The bream seem to be getting on the hemp and maize. I'm not sure about the tigers, but this came a couple of hours ago. It's just getting light now. I'm gonna get back and get down the river.
Well guys, welcome back to the river. It's day 2, it's Sunday. I've chose a slightly different area this time. I spent about the first 45 minutes to an hour this morning having a look along this section, different parts of it, some slow moving deeper parts and some faster moving water. Didn't really see anything to go on, so I've come down to another large lily bed area, and I'm fishing just past the lilies again, just like I was yesterday, but in a slightly different area. Rigs are exactly the same. I've got one out on a double tiger, and I've got the other one out on a slow sinking pop-up with a bottom bait, just sitting snowman presentation style. Although we blanked yesterday, we've got about 8 or 9 hours today before I need to pack up. Going to make a decision later. I might go back to the boat or I might go home, because I've got work tomorrow, so we need to try and make something happen. Well, so last night at the Marina, just the one fish, but rather a nice one, just over 22 pounds. Beautiful common, an absolutely excellent mouth on it. Looked like he'd never been caught before. I don't know if it's a fish that resides in the marina or spends some time out in the river. I'm not convinced that they're coming and going all the time. I think they spend most of their lives in the marina, I don't actually class them as river carp. Might sound a bit daft because they can just swim out and disappear down the river, but knowing through past captures you tend to catch the same fish, and they generally are commons. The Marina tends to be quite silty, and in the past I've favoured Ronnie rigs purely because they're simple to tie and they give you a rather good presentation, especially over that kind of bottom. This year it seems to be exceptionally silty, and I'm fairly certain that after maybe an hour period the leads are burying deeper into the silt stroke mud. The last winter we've had 3 or 4 times when the marina's been completely flooded out, the water's been over the bank and in the car park, and I think a lot of fresh silt's been washed in and probably soil off the fields from the river itself and settled in the marina, because it just doesn't seem to be as deep anymore. And when you swing your leads back in after having a plumb round, they come back with like a thick brown coating on them and quite silty. It's not stinky silt, but I just don't want that rig being pulled into the silt, which you probably get when you're using a lead clip system. So what I've been doing is using a helicopter system with the beads set about a foot back up the line, just so that Ronnie section can slide up and hopefully not get pulled into the bottom. Okay guys, well, it's Sunday dinner. It's absolutely baking hot now, there's hardly a breath of wind. I've wound in, I'm going to take this opportunity to go and walk the length, see if I can find some fish. If I do, I'm going to angle for them. If not, I'm going to put some bait in. I'm going to head back to the marina. I'm going to have one last night in the marina. I baited up quite heavy this morning, so let's see if we can add to that £22 common that we caught last night. If I don't see you this afternoon, I'll see you back there. Okay guys, that's the end of day 2 on the river. I've not been able to find anything in the margins in the lily beds. I've had a good look up and down, it's been really hot today, so I'm going to head back to the marina now. Just a couple of things I wanted to go over before I head back to the marina. The first thing is what I've learnt on this weekend. It's my first weekend on the river. I didn't really know what to expect, and part of the title of the video was River Carp, how hard can they be? Well, maybe a little bit harder than I thought. I've not done a lot of pre-baiting before this session. That's something I'm going to do before the next trip in 2 weeks. Also, the quantity of bream and small fish. It's hard to gauge how much of your bait's still in the river at the end of a session and how much to put in before the next morning. The bream seem to be on me all the time. I'm getting constant knocks on the rod tips. Maybe I need to look at some different baits. Another thing that I've noticed is my line in the water looks like tow rope. I mean, I'm actually using a 20-pound hybrid fluorocarbon main line. It's really, really thick, as you've probably heard when I'm casting in. It's also got very good abrasion qualities, which is what I'm looking for when I'm fishing in and around these reed and lily beds. Okay guys, so by the time I get back to the marina, showered up, had some tea, got set up, it's probably going to be dark, not the best for filming. So I'm just going to run through the rigs with you that I'm going to be using tonight back in the marina. On one of the rigs I'm going to be using 8 to 12 inches of a coated braid. I've just got the end stripped back there for the movement. I've got a 15mm yellow pop-up, just to try and mimic the maize that I've been putting in all weekend. And I've got the pop-up rather than the maize for the buoyancy, just to keep that off the bottom. There is a split shot that's missing there that I'll be putting on. There's a size 4 curve shank on there, very sharp. I don't want that to come out once it goes in. Surrounded by boats, so I need something to be able to stop the fish before they get too close. Second rig I'm going to be putting out, very similar in its makeup, 8 to 10 inches of the coated braid. You can see the putty on the section at the end. I've split that again to aid with the spinning. And then there you can see I've got a multi-rig. 15mm match the hatch pop-up and a size 6 hook. Just want that to sit a couple of inches off the bottom, out the way of all the silt and the sediment.
There you go, guys. 15.5 pound of hard fighting common carp. It's 2:30 in the morning. Second night. I've only got about an hour left. I'm gonna have to pack up and get off to work. Another fish with an immaculate mouth, as most of these are, coming off this Marina river. Beautiful. Let's get her back.